Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and welcome back to yet another episode on leaders. That's right, friends. I refuse to stop talking about leaders. You know, it's been a while, and forgive us. We've been kind of busy around here at the shop and also doing a lot of traveling, but we're back in the studio and we're planning on finishing up our leader series that we started maybe about 19 years ago, and still continues today. So, you know, I still get tons of questions, and that's great. We love your questions. You can always send questions to admin@madriveroutfitters.com. Every email gets answered. There's still a lot of questions about contact leaders, and I wanted to do just a quick overview, hopefully clear up some of those questions and help you all kind of once and for all make sense of this. But again, if not, call me. Again, a contact leader is when the loop that you form with the tip of the rod, it's going to travel down the fly line, it's going to travel down the entire leader. The leader goes perfectly straight, and then the rod comes down and you're going to have contact with the fly. This is, of course, in the trout world, this is streamer fishing. This is all bass fishing, pike fishing, muskie fishing, pan fishing, and of course, all saltwater fishing. It's all contact fly fishing. And most contact leaders are 3 parts, sometimes 4 parts, okay? And I will explain this. So first and foremost, the most important part of any leader, let's go back many years ago when we coined the phrase, a good leader starts in the butt. Remember that. Everybody say that with me. A good leader starts in the butt. If your butt's not right, nothing else can be right in your leader. Doesn't matter if you have the world's greatest fly. If your butt section is not right, game over. Getting the butt section of your leader proper. And you do not, there's still a lot of people that think that I'm trying to match the diameter of the tip of my fly line with the diameter of the butt section of the leader. And that is not the case. People email all the time and say, well, where do you find the diameter of the tip of your fly line? Well, I don't care what the diameter is, because I'm trying to match the stiffness. That's what's important, okay? And so we've shown you this bell curve before, and with this, as our dear friend Flip taught us, we want the butt section of our leader to be slightly stiffer than our fly line, okay? You want it to be slightly stiffer so you see a little bit more of a curvature in the fly line and then not quite as much curvature in the butt section of the leader. And that's going to be the proper transfer of energy. So in other words, the loop that I form with the fly line, it continues into the butt section of the leader, thus making my butt section basically a clear extension of your fly line. This is why I'm not a big fan of clear tip lines. I don't need them because I've got a very long butt section. And with this formula, you can use extremely long butt section. That's why one of the reasons why Flip formulated this leader system is because he wanted a longer butt section and he wanted to carry that energy further down that leader. Your butt section is, again, your butt section is as long or short as you want, and it matches the fly line in stiffness. Okay? Super easy. Now, again, we've often talked about this as well. Flip and many other folks and myself, not a big fan of loops. This casts much better without the loop. A lot of people mistakenly believe that it was for strength. And we never said that the snell knot or nail knot is stronger than a loop-to-loop. That's not the case. But it's still stronger than my weakest link, which is my tippet. So we do cut the loops, and as do many folks and serious casters, because it just works better. And once I tie this butt section on, I never have to do it again. Okay, there's no reason for me to have a loop on here because I'm never going to change this leader. A lot of folks say, well, once you start cutting into that butt section, well, what do you do? Well, I can just add more butt section if I need to. Not to mention if I've got like a 6 or a 9 foot butt section, I mean, cutting into it 4, 5, 6 inches to add on a new midsection, a new tippet is not a big deal. So we do cut the loops. And I promise you that you will notice a big difference in the way it casts and the big difference in the way it lands, and how straight it goes is really unbelievable. You will notice a difference. But if you're afraid to cut the loop, that's fine. Stick with loops. It's your choice. The tippet is going to be about 18 inches on average for most contact leaders. Okay, IGFA says that we have to have 15 inches to be legal. I know a lot of folks don't care about that, but for those that do follow along with the IGFA, what Flip and I, in teaching our schools, we settled upon approximately 18 inches. And you're gonna match that tippet to the fly. It has to be able to deliver the fly to the target. So it's got to be stiff enough, thick enough to carry the energy to cast the fly, but then it also must be strong enough to survive the fight of the fish. So you have 2 considerations in that order. Number 1, it's got to be able to cast the fly. Number 2, it's got to be able to land the fish. And then very simply, the midsection of your leader is also going to be about 18 inches. And it's going to split the difference diameter-wise or thereabouts. Okay, if you can't split perfectly, you can go a couple of thousandths of an inch one way or the other. If your butt section is 20 thousandths, your tippet is 10 thousandths, clearly your midsection is going to be 15. If your butt section is 22 thousandths and your tippet is 10 thousandths, well then your butt section can be 17. It's not overly technical. The only variation, a couple of variations to talk about here real quick. First and foremost, I have taken to using swivels a lot. I use swivels and I use tippet rings quite often. I don't typically use them on my dry fly leaders, but I actually have started to a little bit. But I use swivels a lot, and I use the swivel between my midsection and my tippet, okay? So right in between the mid and the tippet goes a swivel. And these are sold, I think, in 25 pound, 40 pound, and 80 pound strengths. For most freshwater fishing, the 25 is fine. The 40 is sufficient for light duty saltwater. If I go heavier, for example, I was just in the Amazon peacock bass fishing and I used mostly the 80 pound swivels. And that way, I mean, literally for a week of peacock bass fishing, I did not change a leader. Why would I change a leader? The butt is the butt. The mid is the mid. I didn't use different tippet diameters. So by having a swivel in there, all I had to ever do was replace my tippet. Other variation, so the first variation is a swivel. The second variation is a bite tippet. This leader formula is a pike leader. This leader formula is a tarpon leader. This is a redfish leader. It's a bass leader. It's a streamer leader. It doesn't matter. Contact fishing is contact fishing. This leader never changes. So what if I am fishing for pike? Well, you take this formula. The butt matches your fly line. Tippet matches your fly and your fish. Your midsection splits the difference. And then to the front, you're going to add, say, 8 to 10 inches of wire, of knottable wire, usually 20 pound, 30 pound, 40 pound knottable wire for pike fishing. Musky fishing, you can use wire or monofilament, or a lot of folks like fluorocarbon for this. If you're fishing saltwater, tarpon, for example, you're simply going to add a bite tippet to that, what we call the class tippet. That class tippet is what matches to your fly and your fish, and then you need a bite tippet to protect against either teeth or sharp gills or gill plates or sharp jaw lines. On rare occasions, when you need to go down in tippet, I had to do this recently. I was in Cuba recently. We were fishing very shallow, clear water for bonefish. So my butt section was what it was. That matches the fly line. That's never going to change. My midsection was what it was, and I was using somewhere around 15 thousandths in my tippet. which is about 15 pound, and using Maxima. Okay, a lot of times I'll use Maxima Ultra Green for Tippet, whereas this is going to be Maxima Clear, or if you're getting into heavy stuff, you're going to go to Rio Saltwater Mono. But let's say that I wanted to go down in Tippet. That 15 thousandths is just too thick, too large. Well, you can easily just cut that tippet back from 18 inches to say about 6 to 8 inches, and now add a new tippet of say 0.012 or even smaller. Since this is probably somewhere around 17 thousandths, the midsection, I wouldn't want to go 17 thousandths to 12 thousandths. That would be too big of a jump. Might create a little bit of a hinge, and it's going to be hard to knot those two together. So by just taking what used to be my 18-inch tippet, cutting it back to a 6 to 8-inch piece, a transition piece, it allows me to get from that mid to this 12 thousandths tippet. It makes for a better cast. It makes for a better knot tying. It eliminates any possibility of hinging in that leader, and it allows me to easily make one cut and tie one knot and build the leader that I need to. So most of the time, contact leaders are 3 parts. That's the system that Flip Palette developed and Flip and I kind of perfected for teaching the schools together that we did. And but they may be 4 parts in the case if you need to go a little lighter, a little longer, or you need to add bite tippet, whether you're fishing for toothy fish or sharp gilled fish. The only variation on this is that when you're fishing sinking lines, again, it couldn't be easier. Everything still applies, but I'm going to go 2 foot on my butt section. Of course, the butt section still matches the fly line in stiffness or thereabouts. I'm going to go 1 foot on my tippet, and I'm going to go 1 foot on my mid, and that mid, and again, the tippet matches the flying fish. That never changes. The mid is 1 foot and is going to split the difference or thereabouts diameter-wise between the butt and tippet, and I'm probably going to add a swivel, especially on sinking lines. No problem. Add that swivel in there, and then you're never cutting into that midsection. You tie that butt section onto your fly line, snell it on, or however you got to do it is fine. And then if you use a swivel, you're never, ever, ever cutting into that midsection. There's no reason for you to ever, ever change a leader or buy a leader off the shelf at a fly shop. I typically use Maxima Ultra Green. I'll get there. If you're fishing saltwater and some of the bigger stuff, the Cortland Mono. The Cortland Mono leader material is what I use. And again, same story. If you're fishing a sinking line for muskie or pike, you're simply going to add maybe your 6, 8, 10 inches of wire or heavy mono on the front to protect. Super, super easy. Usually with a sinking line, you're not going down in light tippets, so it's not as big of a deal. But again, 3 parts, maybe 4 parts. Couldn't be easier. Just a couple of variations. And that way, by taking along my Flip Palette leader luggage on every trip that I go on, I've got the Cortland monofilament leader material. I was just in the Amazon peacock bass fishing. We were fishing a lot of 9 weights and 10 weights. So having the Cortland mono leader material for my sinking lines, and then I have the Rio saltwater mono here for my floating lines, which I don't think I even used a floating line on this past trip. But then in here I can keep all of my tools and accessories. My swivels go in here. I've got knot tying tools. Of course, you always carry a Sharpie with you no matter where you go. And I've got my snelling tools, my stiffeners here, and everything I need to build proper leaders, as well as my tools and pliers and essentials can be right here, and this is always on the boat with me. So I never have to buy a package leader, even when it comes to dry fly or nymph fishing. And I know we've been promising you nymph and dry fly episodes. We just wanted to cover this hopefully one last time, but it's fine if we need to do it again. 3-part simple contact formula. Your butt section can be on a floating line. Your butt section can be as long or short as you want. If you want a 20-foot leader, remember you've got 18 inches and 18 inches mid and tippet, so that's 3 foot, so your butt section will be 17 foot. And yes, you can turn over a 17-foot leader with this formula. We've done it. We've proved it. I promise you that if you play around with this, you're going to find it very easy. And I promise you that these are going to be the best leaders that you've ever used. They're going to lay out perfectly straight, and you're just going to be thrilled. And you're going to save time, and you're going to save some money. What could possibly go wrong? So there you have it, friends. Contact leader review. Sorry to be so long-winded, but you know how I am about leaders. You're only as good as your leader. If your leader sucks, then the world's best fly line does you no good. The most expensive fly rod does you no good. Your leader is your single most important piece of gear. So if you ever have any questions, you pick up the phone and give me a call here at Mad River Outfitters. A lot of folks do this, but remember, if you don't know what butt section to match up to the tip of your fly line, that bell curve test, you can go back and watch that video, and or just send us an email. We know fly lines, and we know what butt section is going to match up with what particular line. And remember, you got to tell us the exact make and model, and because we have to look up the grain weights, because grain weights matter. So anyways, thanks as always for watching. I'm done talking for now. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out, and it's free. And hit the like button, hop on over and register for our monthly newsletter, and stay tuned because we've got a ton more fly fishing content coming your way. Well, hey friends, sorry to interrupt, but just a friendly reminder, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know, we work really hard to put these videos together, and we don't have any sponsors other than Mad River Outfitters, so it's literally the least you can do. Just hit that button down below. It's free, and it really helps us out.